It's 7 o'clock now. Okay. 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 Let's get this right. Okay. Good evening. Will the members all please be seated? Danielle, what number you have? Okay. Currently, we have the quorum, excuse me, there's 213 total members, so the quorum is 107. Currently, we have 106 members present, so we're waiting on one other person to show up. So we'll recess for 10 minutes. Oh, okay, we have 3 people that just pulled in. All right, so as soon as yes. I can't hear you, John.
John got one person in his precinct that didn't check in.
Okay, so what do you got, Daniel? Okay. Huh? Okay, thank you. Yep. Okay, 113 members being present, 100 members being absent. We have a quorum, and the meeting will come to order. At this time, I'll ask everybody present who is so desires to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And thank you all for coming out tonight on this cold evening. Okay, at this time I'll ask Town Clerk Amy Hennessy-Neves to please read the warrant.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Good evening, everyone. This is the special town meeting, February 9th, 2026, Milford, Massachusetts, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Worcester County. To either the duly authorized police chief or constable of the town of Milford and said county, greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth aforesaid, you are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of the town of Milford, qualified by law to vote in town affairs, to meet in the upper hall of the Milford Town Hall, 52 Main Street, on the 9th day of February 2026 AD at 7:00 p.m. In accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 39, Section 10, a special town meeting shall be held in the upper hall of the Milford Town Hall. For those seeking reasonable accommodations under the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, due to the incapacity or disability, and provide sufficient proof of such condition to the town administrator, pre-registration for the special town meeting by Thursday, February 5th, 2026 is required, and as part of the reasonable accommodation process, remote participation or other accommodation may be permitted. The special town meeting will there and then act upon the following article. Article 1, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a sum of money to be utilized to acquire, by purchase, or take by eminent domain a certain property located on Park Terrace in Milford, known and numbered as 6 Park Terrace, and to also be utilized for purposes of demolishing any buildings or structures on said property at the time of acquisition, and further to authorize the Select Board to acquire said property by purchase or by eminent domain, or take any other action in relation thereto. Select Board. And you are hereby directed to serve this warrant by posting at least 14 days before said meeting attested copies of this warrant in 10 or more public places located in said Milford. Hereof fail not, and make due return of this warrant with your doings thereon, the clerk of said town at the time of said meeting, given under our hands at Milford, this 15th day of January 2026, Milford Select Board.
Thank you, Mrs. Neves. What's the pleasure of the meeting? Attorney O'Loughlin.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members. Is this microphone on?
It's on.
There we go. Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to authorize the Select Board to acquire by purchase or take by eminent domain a certain property located at Park Terrace in Milford, known and numbered at 6 Park Terrace, for the purpose of increasing parking and other use for the Milford Police Department, and further to appropriate the sum of $620,000 by transferring the sum of $505,000 from Fund 2610, sale of town-owned property, and $115,000 from excess and deficiency. Said sum to be utilized to pay any damages and for the purpose of demolishing any building or structure existing on the property to be acquired.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded that the town vote to authorize the Select Board to acquire by purchase or take by eminent domain a certain property located on Park Terrace in Milford, known and numbered as 6 Park Terrace, for the purpose of increasing parking and other use for the Milford Police Department, and further to appropriate the sum of $620,000 by transferring the sum of $505,000 from Fund 2610, sale of town-owned property, and $115,000 from excess and deficiency, said sum to be utilized to pay any damages and for the purposes of demolishing any building or structure existing on the property to be acquired. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any vote care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator?
Chief Tassino or?
If I could, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, Attorney O'Loughlin.
Town meeting members, as the article indicates, we're looking to acquire the property at 6 Park Terrace. Just to give you a sense of where that property is, it's the only home on that roadway to the right of the police station as you look at the building. The town wanted to acquire that property back when the police station was expanded, but out of respect for the family that was residing there at the time, the town did not do that. I had a conversation with the former police chief, Vin Liberto, who advised me of that. Personally, in the early 2000s, myself and Lou Salazzi was the town administrator, approached the owner of that property with the interest of possibly acquiring the property then. The people that had lived in there, his parents, had passed away, and the property was being rented sporadically, time-wise. We were not able to work something out, so we stepped away from it. Went back one other time. Since then, and weren't able to work something out. Since then, there's a lot that's on the other side of that property. So there's a lot owned by Milford National, the house, and then the police station. We acquired that lot on the other side when Milford National was being sold. They deeded it to the town as a donation. This town meeting acted upon that. So we own that property on the other side of the house. The only thing the town doesn't own on that side of the street is that one structure. Chief Tessino will speak to you about some of the pressures that he's seeing each day, particularly with the Milford National now going to be reoccupied and the pressures that are going to come with that. So, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Attorney O'Loughlin. Chief Tessino.
Good evening, Robbie Tessino, Precinct 4. Am I correct in the PowerPoint's not going to play?
I apologize. We have a malfunction here on the hardware.
Okay.
So there is no PowerPoint presentation, or there's not going to be any slides tonight. So you won't have to deal with that yellow,
Okay.
white, bright light.
That's all right. That's okay. That's all right. I had a really, really nice PowerPoint thing. It was a drone footage in there for you guys and girls. It was great. I was really impressed with it. Email me. I'll send it to you so you can look at it. Like Chief O'Loughlin said, this building has been something that the police department has been trying to acquire, i.e. the town, for some time. The house that's there, I actually spoke with one of the original members of the committee to build the police department. He's my cousin, and I called him up over the weekend, and I said, did you guys try to buy that, and how did that go, and why didn't we get it back then? And he said, first and foremost, there was a elderly woman who lived there, as Chief O'Loughlin said, and, the town wasn't inclined to, for lack of a better word, put her out in the street, and they just couldn't come to an agreement. I said, okay, that makes sense. I said, that makes sense. I said, you're my older cousin, and you're very, very smart, because the design is horrible. And it is. I don't know if you've ever been behind the Milford Police Department. We have things called sally ports that we pull into. When you take someone into custody and we pull into the sally port, it's a 16-point turn. Because the parking lot is so small, it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And we have to get straight and pull in, then the door shuts behind you, and then you can take who's ever sitting in the back of your cruiser out, and it's all on audio, video, and then walk them into the station. The problem is because the house is there, as Chief O'Loughlin said, you have our parking area for our cruisers, the sally ports, there's 3, and then there's 2 on the other side that we use for the motorcycles and the light trailers. But getting in and out with those cars parking there, if you're not a tactician, you're going to hit the side of the building. And yes, we've hit the side of the building a bunch of times. So the ability to get this building, this house, and, retrofit the area with bigger parking, and I actually had some nice pictures of a long-term goal of capital planning. Al taught me all about capital planning. So we're big capital planners. Down the road is putting in an overhang, an enclosure that will be solar, and in time will not only pay for all the power that the Milford Police Department uses, which is pretty substantial. It's a 24-hour operation. It's a big building. We'll be able to pay for that. Then it'll actually pay back the town and pay for itself, the project, in a 10-year period. The overhang and the solar panels is a capital planning project. This is not something we're thinking about doing at this part of our phase planning. The issue for us now is, and I'll be quite frank with you, we have police vehicles, town vehicles, that we park off property. We shouldn't be doing that. Why? Because we don't have a place for them. And with the recent snowfall, I'm not trying to take a victory lap or a pat on the back, but I was there with my personal truck, with the great staff we have and Carl's Benjamin staff, plowing, moving snow, because there's no place to put it. And if you don't stay on top of it and try to scrape it down and move it and clean off cruisers, it's going to get ahead of you, and you're never going to be able to get the police cars out. So we had that happen, and, it's not April and May yet, so I'm still dreading the rest of the winter. So the reason why this wasn't acted upon sooner is simply because it wasn't a viable option. It's that simple. And like I said, I checked with a member of that committee, And he said that was the only reason, Robbie. It just wasn't an option, because certainly we'd want to buy it to make it part of that project. So those are the facts. If you have any questions about any of that stuff, I can try to answer them. And I know there's some other people here who have some answers for you if you need them. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Tessino. Any other voter care to be heard? I get the voter in precinct 8, I believe.
It's always tough when,
Excuse me, sir. Can you
I'm
just
sorry about
state your name and precinct?
Thomas LaPrade, Precinct 8, 179 Purchase Street.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's always tough when, spend all those hours before the meeting prepping your statement, and then basically all the problems get answered immediately. Thank you for that, Chief Tessino. But mainly, most of my concerns have been addressed already, but I do just want to bring up the fact that the unfortunate downside of something like this is that we're going to have to tear down a two-family unit. In this town and really this whole state, housing is an issue. Speaking as, a Gen Z person still trying to figure everything out, housing costs are expensive. Lowering the supply is only going to make the demand more of an issue. And yeah, it's rare enough to have a duplex that can, house two families, because most things are single family, outside of apartments, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. I came in thinking I'd say no. Maybe that won't be the case now, but yeah, it's an unfortunate downside, and I think we all have to consider that before we vote yes on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LaPrade. Mr. Mazzucchelli.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I want to sincerely thank all the town meeting members for being here tonight, even though we just have one article, but it's a very important article. Your willingness to show up and listen and participate and speak to the strength, it speaks to the strength of Milford's local government. Your time and commitment makes this process work, and we truly appreciate it. Tonight we're asking for your support on a single article, but a focused article. One that addresses a real and growing need in our downtown, which is adequate parking on our police station and the surrounding municipal area. 6 Park Terrace sits behind the police station. Its location is uniquely situated for municipal use, and no other nearby parcels can meet this need. It is the only parcel that can solve this parking problem. And we did what we were supposed to do. We got a professional appraisal. The fair market value was $520,000. We approached the owner and tried to negotiate a good faith negotiation with him. Unfortunately, the price that they want is far above that number. And as a select board, we can't justify paying well above, beyond fair market value with taxpayers' dollars. This is about a clear municipal need, and every option has been exhausted. This is not a decision that the select board takes lightly. Eminent domain is always the last resort. And with confidence, I can say that we really treated this as such. So we're asking for your support so we can finally address this issue and give our department the space it needs to operate effectively. Thank you for your attention, and thank you for your patience in being here, and we appreciate your consideration for this article. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mazzucchelli. Any other voter care to be heard? Mrs. Crane.
Christine Crane, Precinct 6. Just a couple questions. The amount of money is the purchase for the house. What will be the cost of raising it, and then paving it for the parking. And where does that money come from? Is it the same pot of money that we would use to purchase the house, or is that from another line item? Because we know we're going to be in a tight budget this year, so thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Crane. Any other voter care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator.
Attorney O'Loughlin.
The $505,000 is money that came back to the town when we sold the building on Central Street back to the furniture company. So the people that own the furniture store in Hopedale, if you recall, this town meeting authorized the then Board of Selectmen to take that property by eminent domain, and the town did. The gentleman didn't want to sell. He wanted the property because that's where he has his furniture stored. This board voted to sell the building back to him because the town did not have a use. If you recall, those 3 buildings on Central Street were being purchased to create parking for downtown. There was never a single parking space created, and 2 of those buildings were demolished. So now 1 parking space, and the town spent about $1 million. We recovered that $505,000. I believe it was $505,000, but $500,000. The other funds are coming from a fund here in the town-owned property, from the excess and deficiency fund, $115,000. So that will bring us to a point where we not only purchase this property at fair market value, we get an independent assessment of the property done, and the funds are here to bring the building down. And that includes any kind of asbestos. The old furnace system, is my understanding, has a little bit of asbestos. So the funds are here to accomplish this. The only really new funds is the $115,000. As far as an issue of impact on housing crisis, just so town meeting's aware, this property's been vacant since June. So the property's been vacant for 8 months. There's been attempts to sell it. My understanding, there were 2 different buyers, and both of them backed out. So we're not displacing any families. There doesn't appear to be families that are looking to live on the only house behind a police station. It can be difficult to sleep. I'm sure you can appreciate living behind a police station with the flashing lights and sirens. So we're not displacing any families. This property presently is vacant.
Okay, thank you, Attorney O'Loughlin. Any other voter care to be heard? Mr. Lalim.
I'm Michael Lalim. I'm from Precinct 2. And so I just wanted to clarify. So what I understand so far is that the house is planning to be taken by eminent domain for the price of $520,000. And if that is correct, then, and so you just explained where it's coming from, but I just wanted to ask the question, do we know, I mean, somebody knows, what is the amount that they were looking for?
I have it actually here.
640? Okay.
Attorney Villani.
The Richard Villani, member at large. The property was originally listed at $659,900. That was back in June of last year. I had one meeting at the property with the listing broker, and when I spoke with her, I told her we were interested. This was back in October 7th to be specific, and I told her I would get back to her. We then had the appraisal done, and as previously mentioned, it came out to $520,000. I then followed up again on 2 separate occasions with the listing broker, made an offer officially on behalf of the town, on behalf of the select board, as authorized for $520,000. I did provide the listing broker with a copy of the appraisal, and the response I got was that we were significantly low. They did have 2 offers, I'm told, and she did provide those to me. One was at $620,000, one was at $610,000. Neither of those offers were completed. I did not get from her why they weren't completed. Could have been they didn't appraise, could have been the borrower didn't qualify for a loan, they could have had an inspection, could have been a number of reasons. So originally they wanted $659.9, they had an offer at $620, an offer at $610, and the last I heard, both those offers were not completed. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Attorney Villani. Mr. Visconti?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, for recognizing me. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mike Visconti, town meeting member from Precinct 8. Here's what we do not want to happen. We do not want this to turn into a bypass road fiasco like we've had in the past. The town, over the years, has passed out several opportunities to acquire land for a bypass road around Main Street to alleviate traffic. We neglected to act on those opportunities. We cannot do the same thing with this opportunity. We need to act on this, and we need to act on it quickly. Please approve this article. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Visconti. Any other voter care to be heard? Mrs. Consigli?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Dave Consigli, member at large. I've gone by the police station almost on a daily basis. I do see the police vehicles parking off-street in other lots because it is so tight. And when it snows, it's worse. It's very difficult to maneuver back there, even if you're an excellent driver. Concerning the situation of the value, market's changed. Market's gone down. The multifamily market has dropped significantly. There are vacancies throughout this community, and a lot of the cause from this could be the interest rates, which is a priority one when it comes down to the investment network. The reason these two probably did not go together was probably the appraisal process along with buyer qualifications. Again, when you're dealing with a multifamily market, sometimes you will have a first-time home buyer that will live in one and then rent the other out. Again, it comes down to the financial capabilities of those individuals. Over the past 3 or 4 and 5 months, the market has changed dramatically in the multifamily market. Prices have dropped, and they've dropped quite a bit. This is an opportunity, I think, for this community to try and correct an issue that's probably been long-standing for well over 20 years. I think it's a safety concern for officers to try to maneuver into that back area for Sally Ports and trying to get the prisoners or whoever they have in that back seat adequately in, never mind if anybody else is trying to follow them through. I suggest and I recommend you vote favorable in the article.
Thank you, Mr. Consigli. Any other voter care to be heard? Okay, if not, the question comes upon the motion that the town vote to authorize the select board to acquire by purchase or take by eminent domain a certain property located on Park Terrace in Milford, known and numbered as 6 Park Terrace, for the purpose of increasing parking and other use for the Milford Police Department, and further to appropriate the sum of $620,000 by transferring the sum of $505,000 from Fund 2610, sale of town-owned property, and $115,000 from excess and deficiency, said sum to be utilized to pay any damages and for the purposes of demolishing any building or structure existing on the property to be acquired. Since no voter has spoken in opposition to this motion, I will take a voice vote, and I'll remind the voters that taking the purchase or the taking of property by eminent domain requires a 2/3 vote pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 14. So if the vote is not unanimous, then we'll poll the individual precincts. So at this time, all those in favor of the motion will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. What's the pleasure of the meeting? Who said that? Oh, Mr. Long, thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to dissolve the meeting. It's not debatable. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Thank you. The February 9th, 2026 Special Town Meeting is hereby dissolved. The monitors, please bring up their second sheets. Thank you.